I'm Robert Martinez, State Historian of New Mexico. This is New Mexico History in 10 minutes. Today I want to talk to you about Spain and Portugal, the Iberian Peninsula. The Iberian Peninsula is situated between Europe to the north and Africa to the south. A peninsula is a piece of land that is surrounded by water on three sides. So there's some geography for you. We don't know why it's called Iberia, probably because of the Iberian people who lived beyond the Ebro River, a river in that area. So it's a beautiful name, but it's an amazing place because, again, it's a bridge between Europe and Africa. And it's also a crossroads between the Mediterranean world and the Atlantic world, which means in some ways it's on the edge of the world, and in others it will be at the center of world history in the 1400s and the 1500s. So Spain, Portugal, Iberia, as I said, was inhabited first by Iberians, then Celtiberians, Phoenicians, Greeks, then Romans, Carthaginians, and then the Visigoths come in. And when they come in, it's the 400s, the early 400s, 410 AD essentially. And this marks the end of ancient history. Ancient history is everything that came before the 400s. And what we start to enter now are the Middle Ages, the medieval period. This means the middle part of history. It's kind of cool if we can break history into three parts: ancient history, medieval history, the middle part of history, and then the modern era, which starts roughly around the 1400s. Okay, so Spain in the 400s is Visigothic. Remember, they brought Catholicism and the monarchy to Spain. Well, these Visigoths were kind of brutal. They were not very finessed people. Their monarchy was inherited not by right, but by might, by violence. And in the 700s, there are two Visigothic kings who are fighting for supremacy. And one of them, his name is Roderick. He needs help. So he invites some people from North Africa called Los Moros, the Moors, to come help him, to fight for him. Who are they? They are Muslim. They belong to the Islamic religion. This is a religion that's less than 100 years old back then. It started in the mid-600s in Arabia at Mecca and Medina, established by Muhammad. He borrowed from the ancient Jewish people and the ancient Christian religion and other beliefs that were coming along the Silk Road through his part of the world, and the Bedouin people of the high deserts, as well as Zoroastrianism and these different ancient belief systems. It comes together in Islam, surrender to God, a very straightforward and simple but powerful faith system. In less than a year, Islam spreads throughout the Mediterranean world, taking half of Christendom over, moving through Palestine, North Africa, and almost reaching Europe, but definitely around the year 711 AD, they cross over the Pillars of Hercules, later to be called the Straits of Gibraltar. This is where the Moors enter Spain. And old Rodrigo, he wanted to just hire them as mercenaries and pay them off and have them leave and say goodbye, thank you for your help. But instead, the Moors decided to stay for 700 years. They stayed for 700 years. So this marks the beginning in the 711. This marks the beginning of Spain's Moorish Islamic period. Okay, so what happens here is the Moors come. They're from North Africa. They're Berber people. They are very few Arabs with them. They bring Muslim culture, bloodlines, foodways, poetry, medicine. It's quite a vital mix, and they take over the whole peninsula essentially, except for those northern areas such as the Basque Country, Cantabria, Asturias, Galicia. Those stay strongholds of ancient Catholicism. And by the mid 700s, they're trying to retake their land to the south, but the Catholics don't have a very good go of it. The Muslim Moors are very tough and very, very potent people, and they're warriors. They're not going to be removed very easily. So what you get is this period of back and forth coexistence, convivencia. It's sometimes violent, it's sometimes peaceful, it's sometimes pleasant and unpleasant compared to how we do things nowadays. But nonetheless, this is where you see a great mixing of Catholicism, Islam, and Judaism, because there are Sephardic Jews in Spain by this time. They had come to Spain centuries before, after the diaspora in 70 AD, when the Romans destroyed the temple at Jerusalem. The Jewish people scattered throughout the Mediterranean world, some going to Spain and founding the Sephardic Jewish communities there, Sephardim. So there's this mix going on for 700 more years. And during this period, the Catholics start to retake their territories with help from Saint James, Santiago. Out of a pious legend grows this amazing, strong spiritual movement, a cult devotion to Saint James, who was said to join the Catholics in battle against the Moors. In fact, he was called Santiago Matamoros, Saint James, slayer of Moors. So this Reconquista, reconquest of Spain, takes a while. And through the centuries, as the frontera, the border, moves south, institutions are created, such as the Cabildo, the town councils, hidalguismo, the idea of an hidalgo, the petty nobility, the lowest level of nobility granted to people to encourage them to live on the frontier, a very undesirable place, very dangerous with foreign people. And but people went and repopulated and coexisted and fought to eventually start retaking Spain from the Moors. But Spain would be changed forever. Muslims would live under Catholics in certain towns. They were called mudejares. And then Catholics would live under Muslims in certain towns, and they were called mozárabes. Okay? So that is what was going on. And Spain flourished as an Islamic territory. Great cities like Cordova, which could rival anything in the Islamic world, were known throughout the Mediterranean world as centers of learning. Toledo, Spain, became a research center for Jewish scholars studying the writings and art and sciences of the Greeks and the Romans. This is where the Renaissance begins. The seeds of Renaissance in Italy are found in medieval Spain. That Renaissance, the Renacimiento, a rebirth, a rediscovery of that which came before the medieval period, the classical world of ancient Greece and ancient Rome. So this is going on. The Muslims are also preserving and studying the ancient classical world, as are Catholic scholars in the universities, such as in places like Salamanca. So this is what's going on, and it all culminates in 1492. The Catholic kings, Isabel and Fernando, they established an Inquisition, an Inquisition, to police converts to Catholicism. And they finally are able to defeat and remove the Moors from Spain. 1492, a watershed year in history. The Moors at Granada are defeated, but they stay with Spain. They're in our bloodlines. They're in our Spanish. 30% of Spanish is Arabic. In our food. They influence Spain and change Spain. But they are removed at Granada in 1492. And then los reyes católicos, the Catholic kings of Spain, decide everyone needs to be Catholic. No more being Jewish, no more being Muslim. You either convert to Catholicism or leave. Many left, but many remained. So that is the Edict of Expulsion, the Alhambra Decree. And this will change Spain as well. And finally, there's that man, Cristobal Colon, Christopher Columbus. The Muslim Turks in the Eastern Mediterranean, the Ottomans have seized the Silk Road, the trade. So this is economically squeezing places like Spain and Portugal. Portugal goes around Africa. That's how they get to those markets. Cristobal Colon says, I have a way. I could take you west and arrive in the east. Everyone knew the world was round. It's a myth that everybody thought the world was flat. What they didn't know was how big it was. And they didn't know there was a continent over there. And they didn't know there were people there. And the people that Columbus and his Spanish sailors would encounter in 1492, they weren't European, they weren't African, they weren't Asian. They were the Americans, the Native Americans. I'll talk to you next time. Hasta pronto.